We've all had the experience of trying to cancel an app subscription and ending up in a labyrinth that feels like it was almost designed to keep us engaged and paying. Well, that's because they are. These platforms are designed to do that, and it's catching up to them. In March, a Los Angeles jury found Meta and YouTube liable on all counts for deliberately designing their platforms to addict a teenager to use them. Today, we're discussing dark patterns and their relation to AI. My name is Allegra Guinan. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Lumiera, and I'm joined by Emma Muller, the CEO and founder of Lumiera. Hi, Emma.
Hi, Allegra.
So what are dark patterns, and are they new?
Yeah, so exactly like you're saying, this is something that we're used to now with these unsubscription labyrinths that we're seeing. And it is essentially design choices that have been made on these platforms to work against you by steering your behavior through manipulation rather than genuine persuasion instead. And they've been a core feature of the digital economy for over a decade. Something that we have mentioned before as well is how this era is essentially part of the attention economy, and it's related to that.
And what's an example of what these dark patterns look like?
Yeah, so we have a few examples. I'm going to mention four now. So the first one is confirm shaming, which is essentially making you feel guilty for opting out. We also have roach motels, which are subscriptions that are trivial to start and then extremely difficult to cancel. We also have misdirection, where your attention is drawn towards what these platforms want you to see and they hide what they don't want you to see. And a good example here is just unsubscribing from emails or commercial things, where those buttons tend to be really small and difficult to find. And then we also have privacy suckering, which is essentially a matter of combining multiple techniques to extract far more personal data than what you would knowingly share.
So these systems are almost producing these patterns, even if no single person is sitting down and saying, let's manipulate people. What are some of the metrics that these platforms are using that are tied to these dark patterns?
Yeah, exactly. So there are metrics used when we're building most tech products that are measuring product success. And these metrics are, for example, the time on app, the engagement rate, the stickiness, meaning how long are you staying on the app in one session and how often do you come back to it. We also have conversion rates and retention rates, and all of these metrics do reward designers to manipulate rather than serve the customer. And when you run thousands and thousands of A/B tests a week, and when you promote whatever keeps people clicking, then manipulative design is essentially the structural output of this. It is the whole incentive architecture around it.
And so we're seeing these major platforms confronted, we mentioned Meta and YouTube, in courts in various regions around the world. What is the common thread across all of these different court cases that are in the news right now?
Yeah, there were three major rulings in 1 week in March. So it's quite clear here that multiple jurisdictions are treating design choices that are exploiting human psychology and essentially the ways that our brains are working as a form of harm, instead of treating it as a type of clever product strategy.
Certainly seems like progress on the regulation front. We often hear about AI as black boxes. Is that the same thing as dark patterns? How does AI fit into all of this?
It's not exactly the same, but AI systems in themselves can be dark patterns. And the tricky thing about AI and generative AI and the way that we're engaging with it is that uh, we have these recommendation engines, conversational agents, and large language models, and they operate with more precision, with even less visibility than what we've seen on social media over this past decade. And there's also a new layer of plausible deniability more than ever before. Again, it's might not be intentional at all, but they are there, and these companies might still be found accountable if they are doing it intentionally.
Yeah, and certainly some are doing it intentionally, as we saw with what happened with Meta and YouTube. And so as an organization and as a leader, what's a final question that you can ask yourself to build these better and safer products?
Yeah, it's quite simple. It's not always easy, but it's essentially a matter of backing away from the details of the product and your KPIs and starting with the question of what does this system do to the people who actually use it. So if you ask this question in the very first phases of creating a new product, amongst other priorities like performance and reliability and cost, rather than having it be an afterthought, that is when you can also design a product from scratch that is becoming more trustworthy and is reducing the liability for these harmful effects that we're seeing through dark patterns.
Great final thoughts there. If you want to learn more about dark patterns and their relationship with AI and how it's affecting all of us, you can check out our Substack and read the full newsletter, as well as subscribe for all of our future editions. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you so much, Allegra.